Right, so we finally got hold of him. This is Chris, and this is his department. So this is the calf shed. Chris, how's calving going?
Calving hasn't been too bad this year. It's been pretty busy, so it has been, but we have good days and bad days, I think everybody else has. It just depends how well you want to cope with the bad days, how you get on with it, to make it easier every other day after that. As Lorraine says, my name's Chris, and I am the eldest of the 6 boys at Killen Brawlers, and my main department is Calves. We started calving start of October, and we started maybe 200 we calved this year in October, and the reason why we do that for Killen Brawlers is September time we're too busy contracting. We just don't have time to contract and look after calves at the same time and calf cows. It just can't be done. It's impossible. So we decided to not calve in September, concentrate more on the contracting, and then in September time when contracting starts to slow down, the calves, we started to calve, and this year we decided to calve 200 in the month of October, which was tight going, because we are a wee bit understaffed in that month because of people still contracting, the slurry ban and May is coming in. Between me, Gordy and a few workmen, we do get through the first couple of months of October until the slurry is finished, and then I'll get the extra help that I need at feeding time. We calve all freezings in October time to get them to 13-14 months of age the following December, so that they're the right age, right size and right weight to be AI'd. Come November time, in comes the Continentals. We used to use mixed semen, as in Angus, Belgian Blue and Hereford. Have done that for 4 or 5 years, but we decided to stop doing that for the reason Belgian Blues take the 30 months to finish, which is not ideal when you don't have maybe enough room to keep animals that long. So we switched to just straight Angus and straight Hereford this year, for the simple reason is there's good schemes going for both animals, and they're away at 23-24 months old, so they're in the yard a lot less longer than they should be and what we need to be, and it frees up more room. Disease wise in this yard, I suppose like every yard, is crypto, rotavirus corona, and more popular getting now is coccidosis. How I prevent that is when the calf is born in the calf shed, as soon as the calf's ready to stand, the calf's took off the cow. The calf is not allowed to suck the cow because of, again, a heavy calving pattern. The calf pen is too congested, and there's too much disease in it. It's just too much. In an ideal world, we should have maybe 3 or 4 sheds and put a batch of cows in, calve them cows, out comes the cows, power wash the pen out, put another batch in. In theory, that's what should be done. In reality, it just doesn't happen. It's not practical. So we snatch the calf again, like I said, straight away, get it out, get it into the single pens, as I have about 100 single pens here. And colostrum, if I have spare, I keep the colostrum in milk bottles, 2 litre milk bottles. If I have any spare, and keep it in cold water. I do keep that for 12 hours. So if a cow does calve during the day, I'm able to use that colostrum to feed that calf, instead of losing downtime by going taking that cow to the parlour, milking that cow out, bringing that colostrum up into the calf shed. That's half an hour I'm losing. Where if I was sitting there on standby 10 minutes, that calf has got its colostrum that it needs, whether it be 3, 4, 5 litres, whatever it prefers to drink itself, but there will be a minimum of 3 litres. But I find if you don't let a calf suck a cow, you'll have no problem feeding the calf, none whatsoever feeding the calf 3 or 4 or 5 litres. If you do let a calf suck a cow, I find it very hard to give that calf any more colostrum, because it's already got a taste of its own mother's colostrum and it doesn't want to taste anything else. So it's very hard then to know what that, how much colostrum that calf has actually got, where in my case I self-feed it myself and I know exactly how many litres it's got, and it does get 4 or 5 litres. If I want to drink 6 or 7 litres, I won't stop at drinking it. I can drink whatever it wants to drink. I've had it many times where a calf does that and it might not drink for 24 hours, maybe 36 hours. That doesn't bother me because it's got the most important thing is the colostrum antibodies within the first half an hour of birth. I refuse the stomach tube. I don't like it. I think it's the wrong thing to do. It doesn't. If a calf to give me problems later on, like a week down the line, it's because I've stomach tubed it. So I do if I have to do it, but I'm dead against it. I think I've, to this date now, at the end of November, I have 300 cows calved, and I think I've stomach tubed about 3 or 4 at the most. So I think it's a better way of doing it, and it's better for the calf, far better for the calf actually. I can notice it myself. Far better growth, far better, happier calf than a calf that's stomach tubed. It'll take me 3 days to get that calf to come round, to drink it itself, and they look right. Where if I feed it by a tit, a white bucket with a tit, within 12 hours that calf's gone. I don't have to worry about that calf again. It's away and so on. The crypto, like I said before, crypto and rotavirus corona is probably the 2 worst viruses, bacteria you can have within a week of being born. Again, it's down to man management of how I deal with that, and I'm very particular on them 2 things. Pneumonia is not really a major problem at a week-old to 2-week-old calf, so I'm not too concerned about that at that stage of life, but definitely scare is the biggest problem. So it's how I man manage that, and how I do that simply is snatch the calf after 15 minutes, get the colostrum and antibodies, everything it's got, into a single pen, isolate it on its own. It's got its own separate bucket, its own separate teat. That teat will stay with that calf then for 2 weeks in the single pen, so it can't be touched by any other calf, so viruses cannot be passed, bacteria can't be passed from one calf to the next. So I'm very strict on that. There's 3 things in calves. There's milk, there's meal, and there's vets or medicines. I can't do nothing about the milk. The calf needs milk to survive. I can't do nothing about meal because the calf needs meal to work. And I can do something about the vet or antibiotics. That's the only thing out of the 3 things that I can do to cut costs down. So that is my main priority at this yard, to keep costs down, and this is the only one out of the 3 that I can do that. And so far this year, again, 300 cows calved. I think I had the vet out twice. So, but again, I'm in here 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. I get 2 Sundays off. It's my holiday time. Next day I'm back in again, and I spend all day, every day in here for 3 months. At peak time to get everything right. I don't like anybody else feeding my calves. I feed them myself. I don't like anybody else feeding them because it's hard to believe, but if a calf's going to take sick, a calf will taste 12 hours beforehand that it's going to be sick. Now, how that does that, you might think I'm stupid by saying that, but it actually does. If you feed your calf every day, you know what way that calf reacts when you walk past it. If it jumps up, if it's a slow drinker, if it just takes its time. Not every calf will drink the same. So by me feeding the calves every day, I know what that calf's symptoms are since the day it's born, what it does. So if a calf is a fast drinker, and straight away I realise one night it's for some reason slow, straight away that's a clear symptom that more likely it's going to be scar. So straight away I have to, it's either going to be crypto or rotavirus. So straight away I treat that calf even before it's got the scar, because I know and 12 hours later I'll see it in the pen. So to get a good early start, get the bacteria killed, I have that calf treated. Now if it let somebody else feed the calves, so if I feed them in the morning, say, and somebody else feeds them at night time, and if that calf is slow at night time drinking, they're not going to pick it up because they don't feed them. I'll not pick it up the next morning. Already that calf's already had that bug bacteria in its system for 12 hours. It's sowing the calf. It takes a lot longer to get that calf to come back round again, to get it back on its feet, to get it going again. Whereas I can get that calf treated quickly. Usually 9 times out of 10, within 24 hours, that calf is up, away and going, and there's no problem with it. Again, as single pens for 2 weeks, and then we move them over to batches of 5. The reason why I don't put them from the single pens into the calf feeder is because we feel that the calf is basically too shy, if you want to call that, because under a pen of 30 calves, you walk into a room with 30 people in it, you're going to be nervous, you don't know what to do, so you stand in the corner. A calf's the exact same. If you put a single calf into a calf feeder of a batch of 30 other calves, well, it's not going to come up and drink, it's not going to eat, it's going to go backwards. So how we found to get around that is we move them into batches of 5, basically just to get on with his friends. It lets him socialise with other calves. He gets a freedom of running about. He knows the meal is there, he knows the straw is there, he knows everything's there, and it just gets him to stretch his legs, so basically to socialise with other calves for a week. Once the week is up, the calf is already 3 weeks old before I put them on the calf feeder. The calf feeder is Robbie's, the broiler's department, so it is. I really don't go near the calf feeder too much because I do allow, if the calf is 3 weeks old, it shouldn't tick, scare or anything like that. It should be past the worst of the bugs or bacteria that it can pick up. So they will be passed on to Robbie. Robbie will look after the calf feeder. If there's something major goes wrong, he will shout me over and I will come over and give him a hand to see what's wrong. But his job as a department is a calf feeder. He will stay on the calf feeder for 7 weeks. So in total they're on the milk for 10 weeks. 3 weeks over with me, 7 weeks with him, which equals 10 weeks. People take them off at 8 weeks. I prefer to keep them on 10 weeks. I think it makes a far better calf, a far stronger calf, and a far healthier calf. They're on Brit milk, powdered milk. I'm more than happy with Brit milk. I don't think there's anything wrong with any company that sells powdered milk, but I prefer Brit milk, and the rep that sells the Brit milk in the dairies, me and him have a good connection, we have a good work ethic, and we understand each other, and he knows how to fix my machines, which is nearly, it's priceless. If the machine stops, I'm sitting with 100 calves with no milk. So I know if I ring him even on Christmas Day, he will come and he actually will answer the phone to me on Christmas Day. He has done it, and if he can, he'll fix it over the phone to me, which is again priceless to me. And if he can fix it over the phone, which 9 times out of 10 it only is an error on the calf feeder, he'll show me how to do it over the phone and I'll get her going again. And if she's really broke down, he'll probably come the next day and fix her the next morning for me. Straw wise, it's chopped through a self-propelled. We did used to put straw in front of the calves, like as you can see, a round bale like that's here, sitting here. The calves do chew away at it, but that's all they do is chew at it. They don't actually swallow the straw because number one, it's too long and they can't get it swallowed down, so what they do is they spit it back out again. You do come in and see them chewing away, thinking that's brilliant, a calf's eating straw. It's actually not eating straw, it's chewing it and spitting it back out again because it's too long, I can't get it broke up, and they spit it out. So we decided then to put a bale of slice through the self-propelled, and we chop it probably an inch long, maybe a wee bit more than an inch long, and you couldn't keep chopped straw in front of the calves. They eat it that much. I know from what you can see, they probably, we full meal bags you can see here in front of us, they would just continuously eat 5 or 6 bags a day. As you can see behind me here, they're all lying content, happy, bellies full. What else can anybody ask for in a calf shed? There's no coughing, as you can hear, no runabouts. They are vaccinated. I should have mentioned that at the start. They are vaccinated at a week old for pneumonia, Bovipass and IPR. I would recommend everybody do that. We've tried it ourselves without vaccinating them, and it was the wrong call. All we done was put antibiotics in the calves for pneumonia, and it cost far more than vaccinating them. And it didn't get the best results out of calves that took pneumonia because they didn't get vaccinated. So by vaccinating, yes, it helped. It doesn't stop pneumonia. Nothing stops pneumonia, but it does help with it. And we would have, say, our veterinary bill towards pneumonia is probably easily down 80% by vaccinating them. So that's one thing that's essential in this yard, is vaccinating calves and milk cows. Milk cows are done as well for BVD, lepto, IPR, salmonella, rotavirus, corona as well, and the calves are done for bovipass and IBR. We probably would calve, as I said, 300 until today, and probably not 100 now by Christmas. So roughly it'll be 400, and then on January, February, March there'll probably be 50 each month, and that's calving wrapped up for another season. The reason why we don't calve all year round is a simple reason: contracting takes over in February time, March time, mostly starts in March. You can't do both again, calve cows and contract. So we're quite happy to work overtime on the calf shed in the winter time and enjoy ourselves in the summertime if the weather's right out in the fields working. So this is us in our single pen department. This is where the calf comes into straight away. As soon as it's born, it's brought in. It's in a single pen with its own teat, as you can see. 15 for the calf teat, 15 for the pen. So that calf teat will stay with that calf until it leaves in 2 weeks' time. When it does leave in 2 weeks' time, the pen is cleaned out. If the calf hasn't scurred, it will not power wash it out. It will be lined, but the teat will be took away, stripped down, disinfectant, and hung back up again ready for the next pen. I usually don't power wash the pens until they do 2 cycles. Then the place will be power washed out. If a calf does take a scur, the pen will be power washed out and disinfected before the next calf comes on it. As it says, the calf will stay in here 2 weeks. It will be vaccinated after a week for pneumonia, and they will be given water. I don't give them water on the first or second day because you're only trying to teach the calf how to drink. So 9 times out of 10, there's milk spilled, it ends up in your water, you have to get new water. A calf doesn't drink water within the first day or two anyway. It's hard enough to get them to drink milk. Sometimes it's not going to drink water. I usually add water probably the 4th day. Just a simple wee inch in the bottom of the bucket. If they want it, they can drink it. And add meal probably day 5. But again, only put a wee bit in the bottom of the bucket, so if milk spills or water spills, you're not dumping your full bucket of meal, you're only dumping a wee bit. Plus the calf will always slabber, and if it slabbers over its meal, it becomes wet and the calf doesn't want it. You want nice, fresh, clean, dry meal. So again, the meal will not be added, there will not be a pile of meal added until the start. Buckets, I don't know who made these buckets, but he's a genius. But for some reason he stopped making them. So whenever he wants to start up again, please make them, because they're the only bucket that does this. It's a small, handy bucket that clamps on. You can buy bigger buckets now that maybe holds about 6 or 7 litres. I don't need that. I just need a bucket to hold 2.5 litres. And this is a perfect bucket, so whenever he decides to start getting out of bed and start making them again, please do, because the country's crying out for them.
Right.
So again, they stay here for 2 weeks. They are actually on cow milk, which I call seconds and thirds, if you want to call that. They get the colostrum, yes, the first feed. Because we have so many cows at such a one time, colostrum is coming by bucket load and bucket load. That calf could be maybe colostrum 2 days before it actually gets different milk. People say colostrum only is any good in the first 6 hours. They're probably right, but the colostrum sitting there, I can't do any more harm. Keep giving calf colostrum. I can't go to waste, so I keep putting it into them, and they will get colostrum, then seconds, thirds. They won't see powdered milk in the single pens. They will not see powdered milk until they go over to the batches of 5, where I would give them powdered milk and cow milk. I will mix it 50-50 just to slowly get them changed over to a different diet, and then within a week again they will go straight over to the calf feeder and they'll be feeding up, so they will be getting 100% powdered milk then. As you can see over here, I don't use warm water to heat up milk. I use heating elements, as you can see, to heat up all milk. Water is not used to bring up the temperature for the 39 degrees. Heating elements are done so that the antibodies on the milk is never weakened. It's got the calves getting its full strength, which is far better for the calf. You add water, all you're doing is weakening down the antibodies. And instead of a calf getting 2.5 litres of second or third milk or 5 litres of colostrum, you're really only giving it half the strength if you add water. So straight away, heating elements, heat it up, feed it. The colostrum, as you can see, is sitting here. That cow was milked this morning. I didn't need all the colostrum, so that colostrum is stored there from this morning. So if a cow calves during the day, like look, that's my colostrum sitting there on standby, heated up in a bucket of warm water, 10 minutes, calves fed. If no cows calve between this morning and tonight, that colostrum will be used then to feed another batch of calves, maybe that born last night. Last 12 hours, it's used up. I don't keep it 24 hours. The calves are 2 weeks old, as you can see. No jackets on them at this stage because, as you can see, they're well tucked in. Plenty of shelter and beside the sheets. There's plenty of heat, there's plenty of straw. They're on timber, as you can see, they're a foot off the ground, so the pen is never wet. So you're running straight through the timber, under the tank, gone. As you can see up here, there is tracks, gullies. It runs on there and the tank gone, so you're not walking through scur, urine. It's all captured and under the tank. When they move over to here, and the batches are 5 after 2 weeks old, jackets have to go on. As you can see, it is a big shed. It's a very open shed. The shed can become very cold. When it does get cold, there's no shelter in these pens, nor over in the calf feeder. There's nowhere to really tuck in. On goes the jackets. Highly recommended for this yard because of the shed. I don't put them on I don't put them on the younger calves. They're well tucked in. Plus, if the calf is scur, the jacket becomes covered in scur. I don't want that, it looks bad. So I'll put them over here, and again, they're fed then on 5 big tits per pen, and the meal is also added at the front. Water sitting at the corner, and again, chopped straw sitting ready for them. And as you can see from the bottom of that, they eat away at it, they nibble away at it. They stay here again for a week before they're transferred over to the calf feeder, and that's when I say bye bye calf. That's Robbie's department. He will look at them over there, and I will just simply move another batch of calves in here and do the same thing over and over and over. I don't mind doing it when everything's healthy, but never think maybe some days something's sick. It does add a lot of pressure on people. It does get you down. It does get you down when you're trying your best and things go wrong. But the main thing is, do not take it personally, which maybe I did do at one time, take it personally, I took it to heart. I stopped doing that because I can't control everything, and probably the right thing to do, as better for me and actually better for the calf, because now I'm a better placed for doing that, because I'm able to let it go, treat the calf, get on with it. 9 times out of the calf, 9 times out of 10, you can't stop a calf taking sick. You can only try your best, and the calf will come running itself, and away you go. So again, calves all look content. They're all sitting down, more than ready, just waiting for feeding time, which is now coming shortly. This is over here now. These are probably the first 2 weeks of calves this year, October calves. This is our oldest batch of calves here now. They'll be 6 weeks old, give or take a bit. As you can see, by looking there, they're as happy as you want calves to look. Their water, their straw, their meal. As you can see, they're queuing up there now, waiting for the feeder to wait their turn. Feeders are probably maybe one of the better investments we had in this yard for rearing calves. As in the many calves we have, you manually couldn't feed them. There's just too much downtime feeding all them calves. So again, there's 60 calves in this pen, 3 stalls. They'll stay in there for 7 weeks. You never really have to go near them. They look after themselves. Maybe the first week or so after putting them in, you have to look after them, just get them taught. After that, never worry about it. Over on the far side, it's the same batch again, only they're probably 3rd week and 4th week of October's calves. There's a wee bit less calves in that pen over there. There's a 55 or so, and again, they're all looking, sitting happy. Same program, straw, meal, everything in front of them. One thing we did notice in this yard is when you put straw down on concrete, we couldn't keep the calves dry. couldn't keep their bed dry. We couldn't do it for whatever reason. There is a good slope in that shed. There's probably a good foot fall to the front. Thought we'd done that, and that would stop them like getting wet, but it actually didn't. They're actually getting wetter because the urine was coming from the back to the front and just left the pen even wetter. So how we get around that is we put 4 inches of wood chip down on the floor before we put the first bedding down. So at the bottom of that straw there's actually 4 inches of wood chip, and then we found then we use far less straw. Our straw is probably cut down by half by doing that, because the urine's able to soak in through the bark and make its way to the tank at the front, and it's not interfering with the straw. So the straw is staying far drier all the time. So whenever these calves are finished in 7 weeks' time, everything will be took out. The calves will be took to a different shed, an out farm, straw, wood chip, everything comes out, took into the field, sprayed, and in the springtime, and power washed out, disinfectant, new wood chip put in, new straw, the same routine again for another 7 weeks. Airflow is probably another major, I wouldn't say problem, but it's definitely top of the list of things when you're designing a calf shed to try and get right. Scur is probably your first problem, airflow is probably your second problem. As you can see, we have, you probably maybe not see from here, but there's actually a foot gap between the wall and the tin to let air in. If you can see this bit of straw here, it's actually blowing with the air, so air is coming in, but me and Lorraine are standing here and we actually don't feel the air at all. We're getting no one at all. But if I was to stand up there, it probably would blow the hair off my face because I have none on my head, so you shouldn't feel it. But again, it's perfect there because the airflow is coming in at 6 foot high. So the calves aren't getting a draft. The calves don't feel the air because it's coming in there and it's going straight out the top up here. There's probably a foot gap. The tin's rose about a foot and it lets the air out. So again, air comes in, sucks out this up at the top, sucks the air back out again. So all the stale, damp, moisture air is sucked out again. So there's never really moisture or stale air in this calf shed because it's sucked out. I keep all doors closed for the simple reason is if I open a door, it causes a draft. It's not airflow, it's a draft, and that's the first thing will go wrong. You'll take pneumonia straight away. So doors stay closed. I don't open the doors unless I bring a bale of straw in. This is the way to do it, I think. Above their heads, in, out, clean air. As you can see, there's probably 240, 50 calves in here, I think. And I've yet to hear one cough as we're on this video here. There's no coughing at all. So that's a big plus. It has to be done. As you can see, calf, shut up. As you can see over here, I used Thompson's meal. As you can see, it's in the trough. As you can see, me and a lot of mill reps have a lot of arguments, let's say, or disagreements. I believe in starting a calf off in wee pellets. People tell me use big nuts. I say no to that because, as I says to them, would you give a steak to a 3-week-old baby? They go no. Well, how do you expect me to give a 2 centimetre nut to a calf that's only a week old? It's not going to eat it. I need that calf to take intake, and how I get intake into that calf is a small nut like that, get it into them, and that calf is straight away eating, getting the rumen going, getting the guts going, getting the lining on their guts, getting the lining on their stomach. That calf is making progress. No point that calf in 5 weeks time starting eating meal because I can't eat a big nut until it's 5 weeks old. That's too late. I need intake into that calf straight away, and what suits this yard, or I find I'm happy with the most, is the pellet, a small pellet they got there. Get the intake into them, get them going, get the meal in them. 4 days, them calves are already starting to nibble in nuts. And then, as you see, it's moved from single pens to batches of 5 to the calf feeder. When they come off the calf feeder, I will move them on to a bigger nut. I probably could do it at maybe 5 weeks old, but I find I don't want to change the calf's diet at such a young age. So we'll wait till they do their 10-week cycle on milk and keep the meal the same, and then when their milk's finished, I will put them on that bigger nut, because a wee nut at that age then will not fill a calf. They'll eat far too much. You couldn't cart it to them. They'll just eat. So I moved on to a bigger nut, which will slowly fill them up quicker, and they'll not get as big a mouthful, and they're more content, and it's not a sore my finances as a wee nut.